Let's talk about the 7 healthiest foods you can add to your diet today. But first, here's the big question. What actually makes a food healthy? To figure that out, you also have to look at what makes us sick. In America, one of the top culprits is insulin. The CDC estimates that over 37 million Americans have diabetes, and more than 96 million adults are living with prediabetes, often without even knowing it. Foods that spike insulin by raising your blood sugar don't just block good health, they slowly make you sick. Another factor? Nutrient depletion. Processed foods strip away vitamins and minerals, which leaves your body running on empty. So, the healthiest diet comes down to nutrient-dense foods. Things packed with vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, and healthy fats that don't overstimulate insulin. If you're interested in this topic, hit like, subscribe, and type interested in the comments, and I'll give you a heart. Here's the key. Fiber and fat don't trigger insulin, but lean proteins, especially things like whey protein and low-fat cuts of meat, can actually cause higher insulin spikes than fattier proteins. That's why a higher fat-to-protein ratio is ideal. Now let's dive into the first powerhouse food. 1. Sauerkraut. What makes sauerkraut so special? For starters, it's one of the lowest carb, highest nutrient foods you can find. Just 1 cup of sauerkraut has about 6 grams of carbs, but more than 4 grams of that is fiber. That leaves less than 2 net carbs per cup. For anyone watching blood sugar, that's a dream food. But here's the shocker. Sauerkraut is one of the richest sources of vitamin C on the planet. A single cup has over 700 milligrams. To put that in perspective, the recommended daily intake in the US is just 75-90 milligrams. That means 1 cup of sauerkraut gives you almost 10 times the daily requirement. Back in American history, sailors kept barrels of sauerkraut on ships to prevent scurvy, a disease caused by vitamin C deficiency. Vitamin C is crucial for collagen, your skin, joints and connective tissue, heart protection, and keeping you energized. Without it, fatigue sets in, skin wrinkles faster, and joints deteriorate. And sauerkraut doesn't stop there. It's both a prebiotic and a probiotic. The fiber feeds your healthy gut bacteria, and the fermentation process fills it with live, beneficial microbes that actually survive the stomach and reach your intestines. Unlike many yogurts sold in US grocery stores, where the bacteria die before they can help you. Since it's made from cabbage, sauerkraut also gives you the powerful phytonutrients found in cruciferous vegetables, known for anti-cancer and detoxifying effects. Unlike broccoli, cabbage is easier to digest and less likely to cause gas. Plus, sauerkraut is high in vitamin K2, which helps move calcium into bones instead of arteries, lactic acid, which keeps bad bacteria in check, and even a lesser-known nutrient called vitamin U, which has shown benefits for ulcers, colitis, and acid reflux. No wonder it's been a staple in traditional American diets for centuries, from German immigrants in Pennsylvania to Midwest farm families who preserved cabbage through long winters. 2. Arugula. If you're going to eat salad every day, and you should, you might as well get the most bang for your buck. That's where arugula comes in. Arugula is part of the cruciferous vegetable family, the same family as broccoli and kale, but it's lighter, easier to digest, and has a bold, peppery flavor that makes salads taste alive. Unlike spinach, which is loaded with oxalates that can bind to calcium and raise the risk of kidney stones, arugula is naturally low in oxalates. That makes it safer for your kidneys and a smarter choice for seniors who are already at higher risk of kidney issues. Here's why it deserves a spot on your plate. Liver support. Arugula is rich in phytonutrients that help your liver process toxins, considering that liver disease affects about 4.5 million Americans, according to the CDC. Foods that support detoxification aren't just nice, they're essential. anti-inflammatory power. Chronic inflammation is linked to arthritis, heart disease, and even Alzheimer's. Arugula is packed with compounds that calm inflammation before it damages your body. Cardiovascular benefits. Arugula is high in natural nitrates that boost nitric oxide, which improves blood flow, lowers blood pressure, and even helps with erectile dysfunction. That's not just trivia. Heart disease is the one killer in America, so keeping arteries flexible and clear is a life or death matter. Nutrient density. Just 1 cup of arugula delivers calcium, potassium, folate, magnesium, vitamin C and K1, all without weighing you down with carbs or calories. One fun fact: arugula was once considered a poor man's lettuce in Italy, but today it's found in nearly every American grocery store. And for good reason. Americans are eating more leafy greens than ever before, with salad sales topping billions annually. If you want a simple upgrade, toss arugula with a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil and a pinch of sea salt. That's it. The flavor is so strong, you don't need bottled dressings loaded with sugar and preservatives. And here's the kicker: studies show diets rich in cruciferous vegetables like arugula may cut cancer risk by up to 22%. So every forkful is like an investment in your long-term health, isn't? 3. Salmon. When it comes to fatty fish, nothing beats salmon, especially wild-caught salmon. It's rich, delicious, and one of the best sources of omega-3 fatty acids you can put on your plate. Now here's the reality: most Americans aren't getting nearly enough omega-3s. According to USDA data, the average American adult eats less than 3 ounces of fish per week, far below the American Heart Association's recommendation of 2 servings. Instead, our diets are overloaded with omega-6 fats from soybean oil, corn oil, and processed foods. That imbalance fuels inflammation, which plays a role in everything from arthritis to heart disease. In all our non-nutrients, salmon helps reset that balance. Just 3 ounces of wild salmon contains over 2,000 milligrams of omega-3s, EPA, and DHA, compared to a measly 170 milligrams in the same amount of cod. These omega-3s reduce inflammation, protect your joints, sharpen brain function, and lower your risk of heart disease. In fact, research shows people who eat salmon regularly have a 35% lower risk of dying from heart disease, which is still America's #1 killer. And if you're worried about mercury, salmon is one of the lowest mercury fish out there. Even better, it's naturally high in selenium, a mineral that binds mercury and prevents it from building up in your body. That's why salmon is one of the safest choices for seniors, pregnant women, and kids alike. Here's another advantage: salmon isn't just protein, it's fatty protein. Unlike lean chicken breast, which spikes insulin more than you'd think, salmon's fat-to-protein ratio makes it far easier on your blood sugar. That means steady energy, fewer crashes, and better support for anyone struggling with insulin resistance, a condition that affects nearly 1 in 3 American adults. Nutritionally, salmon delivers potassium, zinc, calcium, and vitamin D, nutrients Americans are often deficient in. According to the National Institutes of Health, 42% of US adults are low in vitamin D, making salmon a natural way to fight deficiency without supplements. And here's something practical: salmon is easy to cook and tastes great, which means people actually eat it. Grilled, baked, or pan-seared, it's a food that feels indulgent while being profoundly healthy. No wonder Alaskans who consume salmon regularly have some of the lowest rates of heart disease in the nation. 4. Cod liver. Before you turn your nose up, hear me out. Cod liver is one of the most nutrient-packed foods you'll ever find. And unlike beef liver, which many Americans struggle with taste-wise, cod liver has a smooth, almost buttery texture that makes it surprisingly easy to enjoy. Historically, cod liver oil was a household staple in America. In the early 1900s, doctors prescribed it to kids to prevent rickets, a bone-softening disease caused by vitamin D deficiency. Back then, it was as common in American homes as cough syrup. Today, we know cod liver isn't just an old-fashioned remedy. It's a nutritional powerhouse. Here's what makes it stand out. Omega-3 fatty acids. Cod liver is loaded with EPA and DHA, the same anti-inflammatory fats found in salmon, but in even higher concentrations. These protect the heart, brain, and joints, and they reduce chronic inflammation, the root of so many US health problems. Vitamin A, not the beta-carotene kind found in carrots, but the active form called retinol. This is essential for eye health, the immune system, and the inner linings of your body. From your sinuses and lungs to your kidneys. Deficiency is rare in the US, but optimal levels make a massive difference in preventing infections. Vitamin D. This one's huge. Over 40% of Americans are deficient in vitamin D, and that number climbs higher among seniors and people living in northern states. Cod liver is one of the few natural food sources of vitamin D, making it a real solution for winter blues, weak bones, and immune challenges. Vitamin K2. This rare nutrient helps direct calcium into bones instead of arteries, lowering the risk of osteoporosis and arterial calcification. Together with vitamin D, it's like a traffic cop, making sure calcium ends up where it belongs. B vitamins and iodine. Cod liver also delivers iodine for thyroid support and a range of B vitamins for energy metabolism. So stop replacing this medical stuff with asthma to prevent your... And here's the kicker. Cod liver has a fat-to-protein ratio of about 5:1. That means it barely nudges insulin, making it ideal for people managing blood sugar. If you can't find canned cod liver at your local US grocery store, don't worry. It's widely available online, especially from trusted Icelandic and Norwegian brands. Just remember, eat it fresh within a day or two. That's when the flavor is mild and creamy. Wait too long and it starts tasting fishy. And if the texture isn't your thing, cod liver oil is a classic alternative. Many American families still give a spoonful to kids in winter for immunity, and modern capsules make it easier than ever to take. The bottom line, cod liver is one of those rare foods that covers omega-3s, fat-soluble vitamins, and minerals all in one bite. That's why it deserves a place on the list of the healthiest foods you can eat. 5. Grass-fed hamburger. Now this one might raise eyebrows. Hamburger? Healthy? Let's clear this up. I'm not talking about fast food burgers on a white bun with fries and soda. I'm talking about 100% grass-fed, organic ground beef, the kind you can find in many US grocery stores and farmers markets. When it's high quality and raised right, hamburger can be one of the most nutrient-dense, practical foods you can eat. Here's why. Fat-to-protein balance. Most cuts of steak are leaner, which makes them harder to digest and more likely to spike insulin. Grass-fed ground beef, on the other hand, often has a fat-to-protein ratio close to 2:1. That extra fat makes the protein easier to digest, especially for seniors who naturally produce less stomach acid with age. Iron and anemia prevention. Nearly 10 million Americans are iron deficient, and anemia is especially common in older adults. The type of iron in red meat, called heme iron, is far more absorbable than the non-heme iron in plant foods like spinach. Without enough stomach acid, many seniors can't absorb plant-based iron well, making hamburger a reliable source. B vitamins and minerals. Ground beef is rich in vitamin B12, zinc, phosphorus, and selenium. These support energy, immunity, and even thyroid health. And compared to processed meats like hot dogs, grass-fed hamburger is in a completely different league. carnosine and creatine. Beef is one of the best sources of carnosine, an antioxidant that slows aging by reducing glycation when sugars bind to proteins and cause tissue damage. It's also naturally high in creatine, which supports muscle mass and exercise performance. That's why athletes and bodybuilders often supplement creatine, yet hamburger gives it to you naturally. Inflammation myth. For years, Americans were told red meat causes cancer and heart disease. But newer research shows the real culprit is often processed meat, like deli slices, sausages, and fast food burgers loaded with preservatives. Grass-fed beef, especially when eaten without refined carbs, does not carry the same risks. In fact, grass-fed beef has higher omega-3 levels and conjugated linoleic acid, SKA, which is linked to reduced cancer risk. And here's a reality check. Americans still eat a lot of burgers. The USDA estimates we consume around 50 billion hamburgers every year. So, instead of demonizing them, the smarter move is to choose better beef. Grass-fed, organic hamburger gives you all the nutrients without the chemicals, hormones, and antibiotic residues found in conventional feedlot beef. For digestion, here's a pro tip. Older adults who feel heavy after eating red meat may actually be low in stomach acid. A supplement like betaine HCl taken with protein meals can restore proper digestion and prevent iron deficiency. Bottom line, hamburger doesn't deserve the bad rap it's gotten. When sourced right, it's a nutrient-dense, blood sugar-friendly, and practical protein source that fits perfectly in a healthy American diet. 6. Pecans. When it comes to nuts, pecans don't get nearly enough credit. In fact, they're one of the healthiest nuts you can eat. And they're uniquely American. Pecans are native to North America, and the United States produces over 80% of the world's supply, mostly from states like Georgia, Texas, and New Mexico. Here's why pecans stand out above the rest. Low net carbs. 1 cup of pecans has about 14 grams of carbs. But 10 grams of that is fiber. That means only 4 net carbs, perfect for blood sugar stability. Compare that to cashews or pistachios, which can easily double or triple that carb load. Healthy fats. Pecans are about 70% fat, giving them a 7:1 fat-to-protein ratio that makes them one of the lowest insulin-responsive nuts you can snack on. For people managing insulin resistance, and remember, nearly 1 in 3 American adults has pre-diabetes, this is a game changer. Nutrient density. Pecans are loaded with zinc and copper, 2 minerals that work together to support immune function and red blood cell production. They're also rich in thiamine, vitamin B1, which is essential for energy and stress resilience. Antioxidant power. Out of all nuts, pecans rank at the top for antioxidants. A USDA study even showed pecans have more antioxidant activity than almonds, walnuts, or pistachios. Antioxidants fight free radical damage linked to heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. Heart health. Regular pecan consumption has been shown to lower LDL cholesterol and improve overall cholesterol ratios. With heart disease still the one cause of death in America, that makes pecans more than just a snack. They're preventive medicine, kidney-friendly. Unlike spinach, peanuts, or even almonds, pecans are low in oxalates. That means they're far less likely to contribute to kidney stone formation, a serious concern for seniors. And let's be real, pecans taste amazing. They're buttery, slightly sweet, and versatile. You can toss them on salads, mix them into yogurt, or use them to make keto-friendly desserts. In the South, pecans have even been called America's dessert nut, thanks to classics like pecan pie. But while pie loads them up with sugar, eating them raw or roasted gives you all the benefits without the blood sugar crash. So the next time you're reaching for a handful of nuts, skip the peanuts and grab pecans instead. They're easier to digest, lower in carbs, and higher in antioxidants, making them a true American superfood. 7. Extra virgin olive oil. Last but definitely not least, extra virgin olive oil, EVOO. It's one of the healthiest fats on earth, but only if you're getting the real thing. Here's the problem. In the United States, the olive oil market is full of fakes. Studies have shown that up to 70% of olive oil sold in US grocery stores is either diluted with cheaper oils like soybean or sunflower oil, or mislabeled as extra virgin when it isn't. That's why you need to know how to spot the real deal. Genuine extra virgin olive oil has a fresh, grassy aroma, a peppery bite at the back of your throat, and a golden green color. If it tastes flat, bland, or overly cheap, chances are you're not getting pure EVOO. Look for bottles labeled with the California Olive Oil Council (COOC) seal or trusted Mediterranean producers. So, why is olive oil so powerful? Zero insulin response, because it's pure fat. It won't spike your blood sugar. That makes it perfect for people managing diabetes or insulin resistance. Anti-aging nutrients. EVO is rich in vitamin E, vitamin A, magnesium and potassium, but more importantly, it's packed with unique phytonutrients that protect your mitochondria, your cells' power plants. Research from the National Institutes of Health shows these compounds can even slow the shortening of telomeres, the little caps on your DNA that determine how long you live. Anti-inflammatory strength. Olive oil contains a compound called oleocanthor, which works similarly to ibuprofen in reducing pain and inflammation. Some studies show its effects are so strong, it's being studied as a natural therapy for arthritis. Brain and memory support. EVOO helps reduce beta-amyloid plaque, the same sticky protein buildup linked to Alzheimer's disease. With more than 6 million Americans currently living with Alzheimer's, that makes olive oil not just food, but brain protection. Heart protection. The Mediterranean diet, which uses olive oil as its main fat, has been linked to lower rates of heart disease and longer lifespans. The American Heart Association even recognizes olive oil as a heart-healthy swap for butter or margarine. Retina protection. EVOO phytonutrients safeguard the retina, lowering the risk of vision damage in people with diabetes or high blood sugar. And here's something most Americans don't realize. The phytonutrients in olive oil are 20 times more powerful than green tea antioxidants. That means drizzling it generously on your salad doesn't just make it taste better, it actually helps your body absorb more nutrients from the greens. The bottom line, don't use olive oil sparingly. Use it daily. On salads, over grilled vegetables, even as a dip for raw veggies. Think of it as liquid medicine that also happens to taste incredible.